Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Nickel City Mafia channel where we talk all things Buffalo and then some. I'm Mike Thornton, and hoping everyone's having a great Sunday morning. Thanks for joining me if you're on the stream live. If you're going to watch this later in the day or later in the week, greatly appreciate it. So, man, I feel like I don't know what to do today. I mean, I haven't been solo in such a long time. But that's a good thing. The channel's been extremely busy, pumping out a lot of content for you folks. And I'll be talking about that in a recap that I'm going to have hopefully later tonight. We're going to talk about all the cool things that we've done in July. The last 2 weekends were exciting for me. I got to have my dad on as a guest. We talked about the Buffalo Sabres, the current state of affairs, and then we followed up with the draft review last Sunday. So that was super cool. Got a lot of other things that'll go on during the week. So when I say we talk about all things Buffalo and then some, on the weekends, I keep it all about Buffalo. Buffalo Sabres, Buffalo Bills. Haven't really gotten into the Bandits yet or the Bisons, but that will come in the future. But right now we're focusing on the Bills and the Sabres. A lot went on last week with the Sabres, with free agency opening up. And then this week, I see my dad's out there already this morning. Hey, Dad. We're going to make that a regular thing, too. I'm going to get my dad on here more often. He and I just, of course, father-son is always a cool thing. And the videos did very well. So I'm hoping to keep that going. He's a tough guy, though, because I'm trying to work out a contract with him, but he's being difficult on the details of that. So anyhow, you'll see him again soon on the channel. But yeah, we've had a lot of content going on. So a lot of things to talk about. I figured today I'd roll it into one with where we'll talk a little bit about the Sabres because of all what happened during the free agency last week. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Bills this week with training camp opening up. So again, I'll have a recap about July because there's a lot of great content. I want you all to be updated about what we offer on this channel. And like I was saying earlier, all things Buffalo and then some. The then some happens during the week. Weekends, I keep it strictly Buffalo, all about Buffalo. So let's go. Let's get into all that happened last week with the Sabres. I mean, my goodness. Lots of action once the free agency gates were lifted. And so we're gonna go through, breeze through a lot of these. Some of them, nothing to cry over. Some of them I'll have some comments on. And then, I will have a little conversation about the Jack Eichel situation. So let's get to it. So there's about 6 players that became unrestricted free agents, and no one's picked them up quite yet. So we got Dawson, Pietro, Riley Sheehan, Tobias Ryder, Casey Nelson, Stefanos Lekas, and Michael Hauser. So all restricted free agents that we didn't re-sign or make any qualifying offers to. So nothing really to cry there, I don't believe. Let me know if you disagree in the channel. So anyhow, I'm just laughing at my dad making some comments there. Anyhow, what we did, let's talk about some of the things that, you could disagree with or agree with. But one of the big ones that we lost was Linus Ullmark. Now, Linus Ullmark was undoubtedly our number one goaltender. But he has had injury issues over his career with us, and is it with the team rebuilding, tearing down and rebuilding? Is it really worth paying him the money it was going to take? And we found out quickly how much money it was going to take. He was signed by the Bruins for 4 years, $5 million a year, so $20 million. My goodness, great deal for him. Probably not a good deal for us. I mean, especially when you're rebuilding. I mean, it's a lot of money to commit to somebody when you're trying to get your cap space down. And really, I mean, we've got a lot of I mean, the goalie situation is interesting. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. But super nice guy, Ullmark, super good goaltender. And what's unfortunate, he's gonna be in a division rival with the Bruins. That's gonna be tough to see. So we're gonna see him a lot, and I'm sure you're gonna see this guy just elevate to the next level when you have a team around you. So I've seen nothing but good things for him. Unfortunate, again, we need a goaltender right now. We're in a little bit of disarray with the goaltending situation. I mean, two of the unrestricted free agents that I mentioned, Stefanos Lekas and Michael Hauser, as well as Linus Allmark and Carter Hutton, who were all with the team, all four goalies, gone. So interesting stuff. Let me know what your thoughts are on Linus Allmark. Again, $20 million, great deal for him. It's not something the Sabres would have touched, especially not in this, like I said, in this rebuild situation. Carter Hutton, he wasn't nothing. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to be too hard on him, but nothing too special there. He was signed by the Coyotes, so wish him all the luck as well. So a couple goaltenders, four goaltenders no longer on our roster, Linus being the big one. Let me know what you think about that one. And then we have Gene Sebastian. Let me get his name here for you folks. Have a lot of hard time saying a lot of these names. Jean Sebastian, and what I have here is he was signed by the Canadiens. Then we have Stephen Fogarty, signed 1-year deal with the Bruins at the minimum. And then Matt Irwin, Jake McCabe, and CJ Smith, all signed with other teams. So those are the folks that, of this list, again, Allmark and maybe McCabe, defenseman. Always tough to see a defenseman leave, although, I mean, he signed a 4-year deal worth $16 million with the Blackhawks. So of this list here of folks that signed with other teams, Allmark and McCabe, probably the biggest ones, in my mind, that we lost there. And again, the defense situation, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I kind of like how our defense is shaping up for the future. So what do we do in the goalie situation, right? We've just gotten rid of four of our goaltenders. And what does that look like? So we signed Craig Anderson. He's a 40-year-old goaltender, been around the league. He's well respected in the league, and but he's on the tail end of his career, obviously. So we're just looking for a Band-Aid right now, but also maybe a mentor to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Boy, I say that 5 times fast. I'm gonna call him UPL going forward. UPL, we saw him last year play a little bit. It was 1-3 with a below average save percentage. So Craig Anderson, I mean, yes. I think he'd be a great mentor to get UPL up in the NHL a little bit, get some experience with the guys at that level. And again, with a veteran like Anderson, I mean, that could be a good thing. And then we signed Aaron Dell. And I don't know what we're thinking here. I mean, Aaron Dell he was kind of a mess with the Devils last year. Pretty abysmal. I mean, so not sure what we were thinking there, but hey, we're signing him at the minimum 1-year contract. So we'll see. He'll definitely be in the nets at some point in time, unless UPL is just fantastic, and that could be the case, and maybe UPL becomes the backup, and Dell getting sent down. So we'll see how that plays out. I'd be curious what your guys' thoughts are. Then we signed Vinny Hinostroza, free agent, 1-year contract, $1.05 million. He has played in 272 NHL games. He's recorded 38 goals, 74 assists, 412 points, and his last team was with the Blackhawks. I mean, he's a center. Again, not paying him too much, not much of a risk there. The one that I am a little excited about, because we didn't pay anything, I mean, Will Butcher. I am a little excited about that. He's we got him we traded. We traded for what they gave us, a 2022 5th-round pick, and from the Devils, and basically it was a cap dump for the Devils. Is essentially what it was, and the Devils are actually retaining $1 million of his salary. So I'm kind of Will Butcher, I mean, he had a great start to his career. He's digressed a little bit. But, I mean, there's potential there. And, again, defenseman, not the biggest, 5'10", 190, but kind of liking how things are shaping up. When you look at, we got Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Powers whenever he decides to join the team. And then, we got Robert Hagg in a trade. And then, of course, Will Butcher, who I'm talking about right here. And, of course, the other Sabres from last year. So The defense has a lot to look forward to. I mean, you can't do much worse, but a lot of that had to do with also what was happening on the offensive side of things as well. So we'll see how that shapes up. I am excited about how things are looking on the defensive side. Again, let me know what your thoughts are, Sabre fans, because it's going to be rough. It's going to be next couple of years. We're definitely rebuilding. One thing I didn't mention is Devin Levy, who we traded for in the Reinhardt deal. Who knows when we see this guy, right? I don't know. He's obviously not on the radar for this year, maybe next year, 2022. But we'll see. We'll hear more about him over the next year or two, I'm sure. But I know the Sabres have high hopes on him. Obviously, they do for what they gave up for Reinhardt. So my other comment here, something funny that, and because I am talking about both Sabres and Bills today, Trey White of the Buffalo Bills jokingly offered his services as a goalie for a two-way contract. Pretty good deal. I mean, he's our best defender, so maybe Trey can get out there and play some goalie if we ever need it, if the injury bug hits us again. I thought that was a funny statement from Trey. All right, we talked about Will Butcher, Sean Malone. Signed as a free agent, 1-year contract for the minimum. Basically played 1 year, 1 game with the Nashville Predators last year. So a center. Again, he's 26 years old, 6 foot, 196, good size. Mark Fisk, I'm probably saying his name wrong, Mark Syke. Anyhow, he signed as a free agent, 1 year, $900K. If you remember him, he was Buffalo's #1 pick in 2010. And then he was traded to Florida in 2016. He played 1 year for Vegas in 2018. I'm sorry, I have that wrong there. Let me correct myself. He was Buffalo's #1 pick in 2010 after being traded to Florida in 2016. So here he is back here in Buffalo one more time. Sorry guys, when I go live and it's a bit early in the morning, make a few mistakes. So forgive me for that one. On the defense, Jimmy Schultz, we signed a 1 year, $750K minimum salary again. This is the gentleman here. He played 1 year for Vegas in 2018 and 19. So again, a defenseman, good size, 6'1", 205, left-handed shooter. And then we signed Ryan McInnes, center and left wing. Here's a forward with some very good size, 6'4", 201 pounds, 1 year, 2-way contract, $750K. Like I said, he's likely ticketed for the Rochester Americans. He was drafted by the Coyotes second round in 2014, 43rd overall. Again, these guys, you're not taking much risk here. Let's see how they pan out, but I don't see anything here other than Will making any immediate impact for us, to be honest with you. Again, let me know if you guys disagree. Ethan Prow, defenseman, 6 foot, 185 pounds. Again, no NHL experience. He was an AHL All-Star selection in 2018-19. And then John Hayden, a center, signed as a free agent, contract $750K. Big bruising forward. I mean, this guy's 6'3", 223. Let's see, he's got some experience, right? He's got 31 points in 185 games across 5 NHL seasons, playing for Chicago, New Jersey, and Arizona. So a bruising winger. That's interesting right there. So Hayden's an interesting pick. I'm sure he'll get into the one of our lines, and with that size, he could create some excitement up there, maybe on the power plays and stuff like that. We'll see. Again, a lot of these players that we picked up, other than the goaltenders to kind of be a Band-Aid and Will Butcher, I'm not super excited about a lot of these moves that we made. I mean, we're investing a lot in our young guys. And again, it's going to be, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a couple of years. But again, if they're playing hard, if this team's playing hard, we talked about that, my dad and I, over the last 2 weekends. If they're playing hard, as Sabres fans, that's all we can ask for. And hopefully we see things get better and better. And if in a year, 2 years, it's probably going to be closer to 3 years where we're actually getting back to those playoffs. Then we had a couple contract extensions and re-signing. So Brandon Davidson, he re-signed as a free agent 1 year, $750K. Drake Kagula, contract extension, 1 year contract extension for $750K. And then Rasmus Asplund, re-signed for 2 years, $1.65 million contract. He showed a lot of promise at the end of the season last year, so good for us there. I'm excited about us keeping him around and extending them. So, a lot to be said, a lot of action that happened. I breezed through a lot of these. Again, nothing too exciting. Couple big losses, I thought, with the goaltender. Couple ads that could be intriguing. Again, patchwork on the goaltending situation. UPL, as I'm calling them, could be that goaltender, that youngster that comes up. Had a rough start last year, but what goaltender didn't other than Omar? So let's see how that plays out. I did want to talk a little bit about the Jack Eichel situation. So let me bring this up real quick. So there's obviously a lot going on with this, right? Now the Jack Eichel's agents have got into the mix and they're saying, hey, what's going on, Sabres? Why aren't you moving? Jack wants a trade. What's taking so long? Blah, blah, blah. And then the Sabres GM responded back and like, look, he's under contract with us for $10 million a year for the next 5 years. He's on our time. Jack, you're on our time. Okay. I love you, Jack. I hope somehow by a miracle this whole thing can get fixed. It's not looking like that, but hey, I'm still always going to hold out hope. But let me give you some information, folks, that I didn't have. I'm like, what is the problem here? So originally I was hearing that the Sabres weren't approving the surgery that he wants, and that is true. My initial understanding was that we weren't approving any surgery, that he had to go through rehab. Well, he did go through rehab, and there was a set time frame for him to try to go and rehab this without surgery. I think that time has come and gone, and now we're at that point where there's surgery required. And so now my understanding is that they both agree, both sides, that there should be surgery, but there's a difference in the type of surgery. So let me give you a little information. I'm not a doctor. I don't play a doctor on a television show. I'm just going to give you some information that I found recently that I think is kind of helpful when you're trying to understand what is the problem here. So when it comes to herniated disc, there's two methods out there of getting that repaired. The one is the Sabres preference, which is called fusion, and then Eichel's preference, which is a newer procedure. And when you say newer, this thing's been out since 2000. It's not that new, but most folks have opted for fusion because it's been around longer. Eichel's preference is what's called a disc replacement. So I'm going to read a couple things here from a site that I found, which was very useful. Breaks it down to very high level so you guys can get it, because I wasn't understanding what's going on here. So here are the two very basic differences between the disc replacement and the fusion, which is the Sabres preference. And again, Jack's preference is the disc replacement. So in both cases, a disc is generally removed from the spine. Replacing that disc is what separates the two procedures. With fusion, a surgeon places a graft between vertebrae. Over time, the bones fuse together as they heal. NHL players have undergone this type of neck surgery. Then you have the artificial disc replacement, which this doctor here, I'm not even going to mention his name, but it's in this article. He notes became available around 2000. In this case, it's a lot like getting an artificial hip or knee. After the disc is removed, the artificial disc is put into place. And this doctor insists that both fusion and disc replacement can be considered phenomenal procedures. He's not totally dismissing the merit of the Sabres' preferred procedure. That said, he strongly prefers disc replacement surgery, Eichel's choice. So that's where the big differences is coming into play here. And my take on that is, first of all, take it from me. I have a father who's had surgery on his back multiple times. I've had surgery on my back. Always avoid surgery if you can. I mean, once you go under the knife, how many times have you heard someone have a procedure and then months later or a year later, they have to have a second procedure. So I think they've gone through that. Jack's been trying to rehab, and it just hasn't worked. And we don't understand how much pain the poor guy's in. Maybe there's a lot of pain. He just wants to get through this. Reading this, it seems to me the safer bet and the one that could get him back to the ice quicker is the disc replacement that Eichel's team's preferring. So it's not new. It's not like it's been out in the last couple of years. And when you think about these procedures, when they say, well, I don't know what they're saying. I don't know if they're saying no hockey players had this or very few hockey players have had this. But there's hockey players that have had the fusion surgery that have come back and had great careers. There's a couple, or at least one, that had to retire. So anyhow, it's pretty intrusive. The disc replacement is less intrusive, quicker heal time. So I'm not sure what the problem is there. If you think about the Tommy John surgery, when Tommy John had the Tommy John surgery, as it's known today, there was a lot of people that were saying the same thing. I mean, oh my God, what's he doing? This is a surgery that no one's had. Now the Tommy John operation is quite common. So I'm for the newer procedure. I'm for less of a risk. I'm for getting him back to the ice sooner than later. And again, I'm assuming they've exhausted all the rehab that can be done. Maybe there's more. I don't know. But in this case, I'm going to lean on Jack's side of the camp. I mean, I could upset a lot of folks there. But from a procedure standpoint, if they are in agreement that surgery is required, I like the newer one. All right, it's less, to me, again, it's less risky than the fusion, although the fusion's well proven. I'm thinking, let's go with the newer technology, right? I'm all about newer technology, newer procedures. And again, since 2000, this thing's been available. It's not that new. So anyhow, that gives you some information. You can go do your own research and find out more about this particular procedure and why those two camps are disagreeing. I had it completely wrong. Again, I was thinking the Sabres were saying no surgery. They are agreeing to a surgery. It's just the difference of the procedure. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments. Again, I think Jack has to understand. We've taken care of him. We're paying this guy $10 million for the next 5 years. If he is going to be traded, agents, I hate when I see agents get in the mix. And if I'm Eichel, I'm a little embarrassed about that. I mean, he should be telling his agents to stand down, whatever. The Sabres fans love him. They've supported him. And again, the team is taking care of him from a salary standpoint. So we'll see how this pans out. I'm not... I was hopeful a week or two ago that we could potentially see Jack come back, play this year out, and then maybe trade him towards the end of the season at the trade deadline to some team and get a lot more. Right now, it doesn't make much sense to trade him. I mean, who would take him with all this up in the air? First of all, it's risky. The surgery he's going to have. I mean, yes, it's been proven, but there's risk with it. And if you're a GM, who's going to want to take that risk unless the Sabres are coming down on their asking price? And they're not. Now, from the Sabres side and the fan side of it, yeah, I want us to get all that we can. Eichel, if he comes back and plays for anyone, he's a superstar. And we just don't want to be cheated in that deal. So I understand the Sabres taking their time. Agents, back off, please. I mean, please. We're not on Jack's time frame. We're on the Sabres time frame. And we're going to get the best deal we can. Again, I feel bad for Jack. I hope this whole thing can get worked out. It doesn't look like it's going to. At some point, I think the Sabres are going to make a deal, but it's going to have to be the right deal. And that might just be, like I said, I was talking to my dad last week and even yesterday, and maybe Jack does come back and play for us. And if he does, Jack, he's not one of those guys. He's a competitor. He's not going to come in with, maybe he's got the problem with the organization, but when he's on that ice and he's wearing that C on his shirt, on his jersey, he's going to play hard. And then at that point, people will see that, all right, Jack is back, and there's going to be a lot bigger offers for him. I mean, you've got the free agency where people have dumped a lot of money already. So to get, to want to pay a $10 million contract for 5 years, $50 million still. I mean, unless the Sabres are going to eat some of that, just don't see that happening. Anyhow, lots going on there. It makes me sad. Like I said, Eichel's one of my favorites, and he's a great talent. To lose a talent like him, if we do, it's going to be hard to watch because he's going to go on. He's going to do great things for whatever team he's on, and he's probably going to get at least one cup. Now, let me tell you something from another thing from my perspective. In my younger years, I was very competitive. I played a lot of sports, and I see what's happening in the NBA where all these stars are trying to team up on, get together on one team and win these NBA championships. Well, that's great, right? That's great. I got all these championships now that I can talk about, but you're always questioning, like, yeah, you won it, but you should have. You had two other huge stars on your team. Me, I'm looking at it like this. If Eichel was to somehow, the organization and him work this out and he played for us, I mean, how cool would it be to be able to build a team from scratch, elevate those players, lead those players, and get them to the playoffs, get them to that next level? To me, there's a lot more to be said about that versus you just being traded and going to a team that has other stars, maybe has a playoff contending team, and you push it over the top. I don't know. To me, there's a lot to be said about building a team from the ground up and being a part of that. It's kind of in the workplace as well. I'm in the IT world, and building a team from scratch is exciting. They can not do any worse. They cannot go any lower than they were over the past few years. And again, this is a pipe dream for me, but maybe Jack sees he starts to play with some of these younger talent. He saw how the new coach was getting his system in place last year and how players were playing hard. And I think there's a good environment there going on. Who knows? Again, I'm sorry. I probably spoke way too long on the Jack Eichel situation, but it's important, and you hear a lot about it. And I thought that understanding where those two camps were, it's not that they're not saying no surgery, they're just disagreeing on the type of surgery. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that and in the comments. Again, if you like what you're seeing, folks, we put a lot of time and effort into these live streams. The channel's working hard for you. Again, I'd love to hear your comments. If you have a comment on what I'm talking about, if you have a comment on what you'd like to see on this channel, or just want to say, hey, you need to do this or get a little better here. Again, this is not something. I started this channel back on May 29th. We're literally 2 months in, and we've grown the channel now from not just one show. We have 3 shows a week, and last week we had our 4th show got added. So again, I'll talk about that in the recap that I'm going to have later. So that's kind of my recap on the Sabres. Lots happening last week. Rebuild for sure. Goalie situation, interesting. But we'll see how it pans out. And again, I think we're going to see, I believe the future looks bright. I think we're going to see these youngsters play hard. And I'm excited to see that. And again, as I said earlier, as long as we're seeing them try, as long as we're seeing them continue to get better, and I think that's all we can ask for Sabres fans until we get back to that situation where we get back to those playoffs, right? And again, that's probably 2 to 3 years out. But we'll get there. I know we will. We waited a long time with the Bills. Look where we are now. We'll get there with the Sabres. Just be patient. So let me switch hats here. And, I spent a lot of time on the Sabres. I'm not going to spend that much time on the Bills, only because, this was the first week of training camp. And I'm going to give you some updates from all of July. There's not many to go through, but we signed Tyler Gauthier, Markel Harrell. Harrell was on our team last year. He was signed as an undrafted rookie. He was released on the final cut, 53-man roster. So they're bringing him back. And Tyrell Gauthier was signed as well. 2 offensive linemen. offensive linemen come at a premium. These guys are 6'5", 6'3", over 300 pounds. They saw something in Harrell last year, so that excites me. Gauthier, he's been, over the last couple of years, he's been on the practice squads of the Dolphins, Jaguars, and Patriots. So I don't know. I'm not sure what they're seeing in him. He didn't really make it with those other teams, but who knows? Again, it might just take him a little longer to develop than most. We also placed a couple folks on the COVID-19 list. Deion Dawkins, Ike Botker. They were both placed on the COVID-19 list. And then we signed, in July 15th, we signed Spencer Brown, our third-round draft pick this year. Super excited about this guy. And then Nazir Jones was released. So just a few folks to talk about for all of July. And the past week we had our first week of training camp. Some notes there. I mean, there's not, you can listen to all of the hype that comes out of these training camps. But remember, they're not playing with pads at all. So, here you have Emmanuel Sanders saying, man, I saw Josh Allen make a throw that was jaw-dropping in my 12 years. I've never seen something like that. It's pretty funny to me. I know you have seen something like that, Emmanuel Sanders. We've all seen something. Now, I think I saw the pass. I think somebody actually captured it, and I saw it somewhere on YouTube, and it wasn't that. I mean, it wasn't all that. And again, think of it. What kind of throw could be jaw-dropping? Patrick Mahomes flying through the air, horizontal with the ground, making a pass, that's jaw-dropping stuff. Throwing a ball 30 yards down the field, hitting your receiver in stride, but I get it. Emmanuel Sanders, he's joining the team, and he's like, hey, I'm going to get on the good side of my quarterback. So, of course, he's going to say some things like that. There was a scuffle between Spencer Brown and Ed Oliver. The rookie getting it from Ed Oliver. Who knows if the rookie got under his skin or Oliver got under his skin? I don't know. But they had a little scuffle that had to be broken up. So the rookie's not taking any crap, which I can appreciate. That guy is a beast, but Ed Oliver is also a beast. So those two big guys scuffling, we won't know exactly what caused it. Again, they're just competing, and they probably went out to lunch or had dinner that same day. So nothing to I actually like that. I like that Spencer Brown's holding his ground and say, I'm a rookie, but I'm not going to take any crap. I appreciate that. So anyhow, you saw Beasley give his statement about, why he's refusing to get the vaccination. Again, the league is putting into place some stricter rules about unvaccinated players. Could potentially cause a forfeit. And, Beasley's entitled to his opinion, and he's entitled to not get the vaccine if he doesn't want it. I don't agree with it, but that's his decision, and I can't do anything about it. To me, it's between him and the team, right? If the team is okay with it, and I'm sure Beasley will do all that he can to make sure he keeps everyone safe, wearing the mask, whatever. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot more stricter rules with the unvaccinated folks, but that's his thing. And again, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. He has his right to his own opinion. The cool thing yesterday was that more than 15,000 fans showed up to training at the Highmark Stadium to see the Bills train yesterday. So that was pretty cool, right? I mean, I saw some clips of that on YouTube, and how exciting to have that many fans back in the stadium. It's 15,000 fans. In the playoffs, I think we were much less than that were allowed. So pretty cool. I think the players were excited to see that, and I'm excited to see it. I can't wait for this season. So there's not a lot to speak of. First week of training camp, no pads. I mean, we'll start talking about more as it gets closer, as we start getting through those cuts, working our way down to that 53-man roster. It's going to be interesting, and we'll start talking about some of those players, right there on the cut line. We'll bring those up over the next few weeks. Normally, I would keep these two streams separate, but I figured, it's been a busy week for the Nickel City Mafia channel, and I just wanted to just condense them all into one and just bring you up to date. So again, my thumbnail or my opening slide was Jack Eichel and Josh Allen, two faces of our franchises. We got the Sabres and we got the Bills, but both going in different directions, unfortunately. Allen, rising star. Jack Allen, getting them mixed here. Josh Allen, rising star. Jack Eichel, who's also he's still young. He's gonna be a star. I'm hoping, I'm praying that he, first of all, gets healthy. And whatever he does in his career, if he gets back on the ice, he's a star. I hope that's with us. I don't think it is. But again, it's sad to see that happening. But again, the Sabres look like they're just trying to rebuild, and I get it. I get it. So Sabre fans, hold tight. Bills fans, what are we going to do? Are we going to be able to, I'm hoping, I'm fearful that we are always going to be that team that has to beat KC. KC's strong. They're better than they were last year. They overhauled their line. I'm super excited. We've made some adjustments. I mean, the depth on our offensive line, that defensive line, all those draft choices, they need to start panning out. If they do, watch out. And so exciting, super exciting for for the Bills. And let that hold you over until those Sabres. Still support those Sabres. Give them your love. But you know what? Having at least a team like the Bills who are rising to the top will help you through that struggle with the Sabres. Anyhow, that's kind of it for me today. Again, haven't been solo in a while. Again, that's not a bad thing. That just means the channel's doing a lot of good content for you guys. I know I jumped all over the board. Again, it's funny. I do these live things, and when you press that go live button, it's nerve-wracking. For any of you who have tried this or who want to do this, it's a little nerve-wracking. And I'll get better and I'll get more comfortable. But again, I can only get better if I hear from you guys. I want to know what you want to see in the channel, what you think I should be doing a better job at. Comment on the content that we're bringing you guys. So love to hear from you. Again, if you like what you're seeing, hit that like, give us a subscription, and again, I hope to see you guys again soon. We're going to have 2 more shows this upcoming week, golf shows related, and then again, I'm going to work with my dad to figure out how I can get him back on maybe every Saturday or Sunday, talking strictly about the Sabres. My dad's a huge Sabre fan, and he knows a lot about the team. I mean, he watches them religiously. He kind of, it was a little disappointed with what things were going in the NFL, but he's always stayed in touch with the Bills. But he never has stopped watching those Sabres. So he's got a lot of great insight. And again, as I said, our 2 streams the past 2 weekends have done super well for the channel, and I hope to keep that going in the future. Anyhow, that's kind of it for me this week. I will talk to you probably later today with a recap of all that went on in July. And I'm going to let you go for now. I thank you for your time. Everyone, have a great Sunday. We'll talk soon. Bye now.